Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Can You Hear Me podcast. I'm Rob Johnson, president of Rob Johnson Communications.
And I'm Eileen Rochford, CEO of the marketing and strategy firm, the Harbinger Group. So, here on Can You Hear Me, we often highlight the importance of maintaining an executive presence on social media, particularly on platforms where your customers, clients, and even your colleagues are active. It's
That's
really
right,
important.
Eileen. It is
Yeah.
important, very important. And, I hear it time and time again. I'm sure you do too. Many executives become frustrated because it's difficult to run the day to day operations of a company and create content about what you're doing to run it. So, fortunately, we have someone on the podcast today who specializes in solving this unique problem. He is Jared Gibson, co founder of Outworks. Jared, welcome to Can You Hear Me? And before we dive into your background, which we'll do, why don't you explain exactly what our Outworks does and how it's useful for executives?
Yeah, awesome. Rob, Eileen, thank you so much for having me on. Big fan of both of you. Eileen, we just talked about the Cleveland connection. Can't go wrong with that.
Exactly.
Um,
You're good people, Jared, just
yes.
out
All
of the
right.
gate.
All right. All right. All right. Anyway, Rob, what was your question? Cleveland? No, I'm
No,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right. So, my company Outworks, we work with CEOs, executives to help them build really a personal brand through executive content on social media. LinkedIn happens to be the primary because we're in the B2B space, but for us, it's all about helping them create this consistent system, setting up this system that makes it easy for these busy executives to have this one-stop shop each month where we interview them podcast style and put together a strategy around the content, around the questions we're asking. And then we've got an entire team of graphic designers, video editors, writers, copy editors that will then go through that monthly podcast style interview and create a month's worth of content for them. So that's very high level what we're doing. There's obviously a lot more that goes on in the background, but in today's world, as an executive, as a CEO, as a founder of a company, like you are part of the buyer journey. It's not the days of we just go to a company website, we check out what they do, and we schedule a meeting. Like we're going through more of a detailed process before any conversation happens. So, are you showing up as an executive to build that trust, staying top of mind with that person, or are you silent and you're not creating content? Like one is going to typically garner that first conversation versus the other.
Well put. Absolutely. Thank you. Well, that's
Mhm.
interesting. I hope, throughout our conversation, we'll get some more glimpses into Outworks. But before we go down that path too far, could you give us a little insight just about you personally and your background? I mean, we don't have to get too personal, but just your professional background will suffice. That's just fine.
Yeah.
How did you get where you are right now in your career? Things like that. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. A lot of just kind of tripped on a few things, landed in a few spots, and no, it's funny because my background out of college, I had no clue what I wanted to do. Like there was no, I was one of those like I was on the 5 year plan, graduated, actually reached out to a mutual connection of ours, Eileen, and he's like, why don't you come up, move up to back up to Cleveland from Columbus and try out for, or did not try out, interview at this company I'm with called Spyglass. And I went up there, interviewed, ended up getting the job. And I realized at that point in time, like, I guess I'm in sales. Like, that's my thing now. And it was back in the day we were making 100 dials a day, scheduling meetings, and then I ended up getting promoted to outside sales, and I just loved everything about sales, the strategy behind it, like the wins, like the lessons learned every single day, and fell in love with sales and started looking into like more sales methodologies and just kind of picking and pulling from each one. Moved a few times, stayed with this company for about 9 years. It brought me to Chicago, where I am today. And, from there, wanted to do a few other things. So jumped around to a few other gigs, ended up at this one company on their leadership team. I actually was running marketing for this company and we were acquired, not the greatest acquisition of all time. And it gave me an opportunity to do something I wanted to do for a while, which was start my own company. And I'd seen enough where this was post-pandemic at this point, where it was like, listen, I feel like we're on kind of phase two of what content is. Like phase one was like company logos, like company brands. It was company LinkedIn pages, and that's still important. But you started to, and I've told the story. You started to kind of see into the lives of these executives at home, and it really humanized them. And the more CEOs and founders that kind of started stepping out into like out from behind the company brand and putting themselves out there, the more you saw like this is a massive lever here that CEOs and executives need to take advantage of. It's just whether or not they have time to do it. Yeah, ChatGPT can help you write any post, but unless you're building a system around it, then it's tough. So got back together with two guys that I used to work with, Brandon and Kelly, who Rob knows, and
Right.
I was actually Brandon's VP of sales at one of his companies, and Kelly ran our design team. And got back together with them and said, "Hey guys, I'm thinking about going off on my own, doing my own thing. This dumpster fire acquisition happened. I don't want to ever be put in this position again." And they're like, "Oh, well, we're kind of in the same boat." So we kind of merged together, and it's cool because my background's in sales, marketing. Kelly's background, he's a designer. He was Brandon's head of design. I was Brandon's head of sales for one of his companies. And Brandon is a serial entrepreneur. He's an engineer. So we all got like these different backgrounds, which is cool. Brandon said that any successful business he's ever had has had a hacker, a hipster, and a hustler on the leadership team or some form of it.
And which one are
So that's
you?
kind of where we
Yeah.
are. I guess I'm the hustler. I guess I'm the hustler.
Yeah, sales, that makes sense. I'll buy that.
Yeah. So that's a long story. So that was probably a little long, but that was
Yeah.
that's kind of
No, it's
where
great.
how I got here.
No,
Well,
that's
it certainly is a peek into, you know, just like your history, if you will. And I think it's fun to get to know our guests a little bit better. But there's one thing that we didn't address that I would just want to go back to, which is what led you to be like the attraction to LinkedIn, the LinkedIn specific, because you said you're B2B, so you're primarily
Hmm.
LinkedIn. How did you know that was the place
It's the
for
only place.
leadership brands?
Yeah, I mean it's
Mhm.
kind of the only place. Love like
Yeah.
I mean right now you've got other platforms out there. I think YouTube is a massive opportunity. We're starting to shift a lot of focus to YouTube. But from a B to in Substack, Substack is I think going to blow up. It's I love Substack. But right now, like love it or hate it, LinkedIn is the go-to B2B place. They have the most data, they've got the most executives. Like if you look at their audience, like that's where B2B executives are. So it was naturally the right fit. And it's whether people are commenting or engaging or creating content. I know plenty of high level C level executives that don't do any of that, but they're on LinkedIn every single day. Just like we
Mhm.
jump on social media and we scroll, they're jumping on social media and they're scrolling. So if you want to get in front of the right people and do it the right way and build trust, like it's the premier B2B social media channel today. And
Wow.
social media in general, like the average B2B buyer I think I saw is 36 years old. They're on social media, and the next buyers coming up behind them are were like unfortunately live on social media.
Yeah.
You got to meet your
Well,
buyers where they are.
yeah,
that's for
yeah.
sure.
That's great.
So we know Outworks is designed for company leaders. You've already expressed that to us, but more specifically, among those folks, who is your ideal client, and what makes them your ideal client?
Yeah, good question. And we tossed this around a little bit over the last few years, and I just had a team call with Brandon and Kelly, and we were hitting on this a little bit, but it is this a little broad, but we think it's 5 to 50 million in revenue B2B. Um, our best clients today have internal marketing or growth teams, meaning they've got people that are already internally like running a lot of the brand stuff, but they also see the value in making sure that their CEO or other members of their executive team are actively creating content. So when I say that they're our best clients, for a few different reasons. One, they have budget for what we do. I never have to worry like that, it's month three and they're going to start, worrying about whether or not they're going to be able to pay us in month four. It's the budget's there, it's laid out. So budget's important, obviously. We can work in parallel with their marketing team on strategy for the company, meaning next month, so and so is going to be speaking at this event, or we've got this product release coming up. So let's make sure that we include that in the next round of questions to our CEO that you're working with. So that's important. Also, like when you've got a growth and marketing team, they get that this doesn't happen overnight. Magic does not happen. There's no easy button here. This takes time. If you're going to create content and really, if you're going to do this with intent, it's going to take months to get there. Sure, you may be able to initiate some conversations, start to see some movement after the first 3, 4 months, but I always tell people you mindset wise, you got to be prepared to do this for at least 12 months. If you're not, then you're going to set yourself up for failure. It takes time to compound all this content to get to the point where you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really
Yeah,
glad you
that's a good
brought that up
message.
because people are like, okay, we started it. Where's the payoff? Week, 2 weeks, 2 months. And it really is a longer play. And sometimes people are like, well, of course, you're just trying to, you know, you're trying to, continue your monthly fee or whatever. It's like, but it takes time to build that audience. And I think having watched you up close, we've had the chance to work together, and I'm telling you, your team is terrific, focused. It's very clear what's going to happen. The content is first rate, and so there's a commercial. But
Shut up.
truly,
Thank you.
yeah. Again, you're right. It's not for everybody because you need people that are not going to be sweating the monthly or whatever.
Yeah.
But man, the results are the results, and everybody I've worked with that's worked with you has gotten them.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Shout out to our team. I mean, our team's
Oh yeah.
great. Like
They,
they're awesome to work with.
yep. Kelly, Julia, everybody. They're terrific.
Hmm.
All right, so we have touched on this already just a tiny bit, but let's talk more specifically, I should say, about why you believe LinkedIn is superior for executives who want to share their message with, their best target audience. Why is LinkedIn it? And even talk about some of the how, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's for one, you can control whatever you put out. There's everybody has issues with everything. There's always going to be gripes about certain things. Like right now, the major gripe on LinkedIn is that reach is down across the board. Like when you're posting content, people that were seeing thousands of impressions a few years ago are literally seeing like 300, 400 impressions per piece of content. The thing that I like about LinkedIn is that like I think their analytics can be better, but you can see who's seeing your content, not the individuals, but you can see the group of people. So if you want to look at like, hey, my impressions are down. I used to get 1,000 impressions on every post, and now I'm getting 400, 300 impressions on every post. All right. Well, if you look to see, have you looked at the data to see who those impressions are with? Because I'm looking at your data right now, and this says that who's your buyer? You said that they're senior level C level execs in this particular industry. Out of the 400 or 300 impressions, 50% of the impressions are with that exact buyer. So that tells me that your content's being seen by these executives that you want to get in front of. Are they not liking and commenting on your posts? Who cares? Those are vanity metrics anyway, right? Your buyers are not going to be liking and commenting on your content. That's just not the way the world works. But they're just going to be watching, they're going to be judging, they're going to be taking in the content that you're putting out. So, are there other channels that you can do this through? Sure. Like YouTube, you can put out content, you can get tons of impressions, all the other social media channels. But if you look across the board at like who the demographic is that is on LinkedIn, they are executives. They are your buyers. These are, I had a post a few years ago, and it was funny because I thought about this in the morning. Like my daughter asked me, like, "Hey, when did you know that you were a grown up?" She was like, I think 4 at the time, and I didn't tell her this, but I literally thought about this. Is like I realized I was a grown up when I woke up and I didn't go to Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram as my first social channel, and I went to LinkedIn. Right. So yeah, this is just where the buyers are for the most part.
Yep, that is a beautiful coming of age moment.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh, yeah, I'm a
say.
grown up
I'm
now.
now on
It took me a
LinkedIn.
while.
You know
Maybe it
what
took me 40 years, but
I
I'm
thought maybe you
here.
were going to say I'm still there. Like, yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We know
Yeah.
each other. I love busting your chops a little bit, but
Robin Meyer, we're MySpace friends.
yeah,
So
right, exactly.
we're
Oh dear
Yeah,
God.
we're
Oh,
good.
Yeah.
But you're right. The audience dialing in particular, how tightly you can target specific roles, regions, sectors, for all of your content.
Yeah. And
LinkedIn
that's
is,
just organic. That's just
yeah,
organic. You can put dollars behind it. So when we talk
right.
about like cheating the code and maybe having a little bit better results quicker, like, yeah, you can build specific lists of people you want to get in front of. You can, you can retarget people and boost content toward those people. So you'll get the results a little bit faster. You're gonna have to pay more, but there's an opportunity and you don't have to worry whether or not the algorithm is going to show people your content or if you're even connected to them. You can pay to get in front of the people.
Well, you
Mhm.
just touched on a couple of things that I think are important. First of all, um, LinkedIn is superior when it comes to getting analytics. I think they do it better than everybody else in terms of who's, you're talking about having those CEOs that were engaging with that content. And the other thing
Hmm.
is, and I think this is probably one of the many values that Outworks can provide is, the thousands of people that were commenting or that were, digesting your content before, and now it's hundreds. They change the algorithm a lot.
Oh yeah.
So whatever your rules are for today, they may be different on, say, April 1st. And I know that that's probably a challenge for you all to stay ahead of it and be like, all right, not only we're going to help you create this content for LinkedIn, but the algorithms are changing, and here's what you don't need to do, and here's what you need to do. Kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that's something that's been a hot topic over the last few months. Last year, previous to I would say maybe middle of last year, maybe beginning of last year, LinkedIn had these algorithms. Like everybody's obsessed, always wants to talk about the algorithm, and they had thousands of out. I keep shifting screens. I don't know why my computer does that. They used to have like literally thousands of algorithms that were running at the same time, right? They have different algorithms for different people, for different countries. Last year, they threw all that to the side and built out their backend AI, this new system called 360 Brew. And 360 Brew is very different than all the algorithms that we're running. So naturally people noticed a massive tank in a lot of their reach, but it is because supposedly 360 Brews an AI that's reading individual pieces of content versus grouping it all together. So it's taking, in essence, like it goes to your LinkedIn profile and it says, does your content match what's on your LinkedIn profile? This is why LinkedIn profiles are so important. Like if you're going to start doing this, like don't do anything until you set up your LinkedIn profile for success. It is a landing page. You need to optimize that. What are the things that you do? What do you talk about? So it's looking at your LinkedIn profile, it's matching it up to the content that you create. So if you're just throwing out some random thing, let's say I start talking about derivatives trading on my LinkedIn post, it's going to tank because LinkedIn's 360 Brew is getting confused and saying, wait a second, you've never talked about derivatives trading over here.
Mhm.
We're not going to show this to anybody over here because you're not an expert and this is what you do. Right now, you really want to focus on creating content that can help people that can save that savable content. So if you're putting out infographics, is it valuable content that somebody will say, I want to come back to this later, so I'm going to save this? That's the first and most important thing that it's looking for. And that's what's going to explode your reach is if you're creating savable content. So infographics, things that, again, can help people say, hey, this is going to go to somebody in a boardroom that they're talking. Hey, did you see the post from Rob last week? I saved it. Let's go through this because this is helpful for what we do. So savable content. But yeah, it's very different. There's a lot more that, I've done presentations on this. Can get in super detail on 360 Brew. If you guys want, I can send you over a good article that I read that gives the entire background on it. Then maybe you can
Oh,
send
sure.
this out to people.
Show
But
notes.
In the show notes,
yeah,
yeah.
show notes. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
You just had me reflecting on. Are you guys familiar with Sarah Evans on LinkedIn? She's pretty much, I would say she is one of, if not the foremost expert on the impact of AIO and GEO on brands, but specifically public relations, elements of public
Okay.
relations. You ever heard about her? Well, I'll plug for her because I think that I've read more of her content in the last 6 to 9 months than anyone else on LinkedIn. And I personally have probably saved every one of her posts. So
Mm-hmm.
I might, yeah, people like me saving Sarah Evans' content is probably responsible for why she's now got
Skyrocketing.
a
Yeah.
100,000, followers plus. Yeah. But that's what you made me think of. Like, wow, that's interesting, because I did really start that behavior, that practice just in the last year of
Yeah.
saving. Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff. I know the problem with me is that I'll save something. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good one, and I forget to go back to it. So every once in a while, I'll go through my save stuff and be like, oh,
Right.
this is all
Me too.
gold,
Yeah,
right? And but you just
definitely.
forget to go back to it.
I'm waiting
So
for
yeah,
the AI feature that will help me like take all the things I've saved and kind of make sense of them. Like there
yeah.
has to be, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Do we want to turn this into a Claude call? Claude
we
code?
can we can do anything we want.
Yeah, I'm not there. I'm not ready to talk to that one.
Okay,
I can
that's
barely
fine.
even function on my own right now with all the AI tools that are available.
Yeah,
it is head spinning, isn't it?
it is.
Hmm.
But there's got to be an embedded feature that LinkedIn is going to come out with for that. There's no way that
Well,
we're going to miss out on that.
I would love to say yes, but I would also say don't hold your breath
Okay,
for any
all
time
right,
soon.
interesting.
That's true.
Darn it, that's like on my Christmas list. We'll see.
That's but it's your months from Christmas, so
Yeah, I
AI
got a
will
We
while.
have
got time.
evolved so many different ways by the time you're
I
getting
got a
your
while.
Christmas list
A
together.
lifetime will be lived
A
between now and
lifetime,
yeah.
months. We got months. So here we are in 2026, Jared. And you talked about, obviously, this is your business. This is where people should be living, and you also talked about the potential of, say, YouTube as well. Is this where executives should be spending their time? All the algorithm changes notwithstanding, and their social media energy, if they're going to maximize their online presence?
It's a good question because I have a friend I was talking to about he's got no digital footprint. I think digital footprints today are so important, and it's tough sometimes. Like you got to do something. There's got to be something out there. It's not like 10, 15 years ago where you didn't need it. I do think that LinkedIn is a great starting point. I wouldn't put all your eggs into one basket today. Like you guys do the podcast. Like podcasts are great. Even if you don't want to host a podcast, figure out a way to get on as many podcasts as possible. This is all part of the digital footprint, right? You can get content from that and put it out to other platforms like LinkedIn. I have two podcasts. I host two podcasts, right? I get a ton of content created just from that. And I put it out on LinkedIn. I even put it out on TikTok. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with TikTok, but it's on TikTok, right? But I know that that's where every once in a while I've got buyers that tell me like, yeah, we're on TikTok, right? Instagram. We haven't done it yet, but it is on our roadmap over the next few months to create a newsletter, a Substack, like newsletters, blogs, like whatever it is. So I would never say throw everything all into building your personal brand only on LinkedIn. That is a tactic, is part of the overall strategy on what you should be doing today. But I think that it is so necessary to do, and especially if you're the CEO or if you're a leader at a company, this is going to maybe rub some of them the wrong way, but it's your responsibility in 2026 to be doing this. Like you
Yeah.
absolutely should be doing this. And if you're not doing it, like ask yourself why you're not doing it and think about all the excuses you're saying, and then take a step back and look at yourself and say, okay, I'm saying no to this because it's outside of my comfort zone. That's why I'm not
Yeah.
doing it right now.
More than likely. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
But you
Yeah.
guys are right inside the comfort zone. So you're like, yeah, naturally,
Yeah.
you don't want to do it,
Trying
but we'll
to.
do it for you. We'll help
We'll
Yeah.
you
do it for you. Yeah.
on the journey.
We'll
Yeah.
help you. I mean, we do have to understand, like we have clients that come to us that have been creating content forever, and they're like already in it. They just need somebody to help them like with the system. And then we have clients that are like that have sat in front of boards that are private equity that are super successful that don't need to work anymore. But when you talk to them about the content game on social media, they curl up into a ball and they get very uncomfortable. So we have to help them crawl, walk, run, and get to a comfortable point, and that sometimes takes a few months to get there.
Yeah. All right. So what are the benefits that clients say, think of your 10 most successful clients that you have worked with for a year or more. What have they
Yep.
told you they have kind of derived in terms of value and benefit from the experience?
Yeah. So there's a few things that we always look for, like that we want, if you think about like putting yourself out there, like when somebody says to us, we are jumping on calls now with our prospects that feel like they already know who we are when they get on the call. Like, so it's accelerating the sales cycle. It is creating that trust prior to that first conversation. It's not necessarily like generating leads and meetings all the time. There's like, yes, that is a lagging indicator that we want to have happen, but there's so much that has to go on the front end. Like, hey, we talked to this company 8 months ago. They were a no at the time because of whatever reason. And then they threw time on my calendar and they said, hey, I've been following your content and you posted last week about this. And that kind of jarred something loose, but we're in a better place to have this conversation today. So it's making sure you're staying top of mind. We had a client tell us that they were at the Consumer Electronics Show out in, I think, Vegas,
In Vegas.
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, and he was walking around and somebody came up to him that is a buyer and said that he's never seen before and said, hey, introduce himself. I've been following you on LinkedIn for the last 8 months or 6 months or whatever it is. And he looked at his marketing person. His marketing person's been saying, like, listen, trust me, this is working. And he's like, why we haven't seen. And he looked at her and just smiled, nodded his head. And he's like, yeah, it does work. Like,
That's good.
so it's not sleeping on all those little things. I think people immediately go to, I need to generate meetings ASAP. That's not the goal for everybody. The goal for some people is to support their sales team. Like, hey, we have the sales call every Friday, and sometimes they allow us to come into those sales calls, meaning tag in our fireflies, and we'll
Mhm.
record those calls and they'll send them to us. Here's all the things that our sales team's hearing. We need you as the CEO to be the mouth to get this out there so that overcome objections or these are challenges that we're seeing. So it's taking that voice of the sales team and almost like just getting out there and saying, we hear you, this is what we're feeling. And then that's it. That's collateral the sales team can then send to somebody that they're prospecting or that they had a call with. Hey, our CEO was talking about this in his content or her content. Send it over. So there's that. I don't even know if I answered your question. We want to look for impressions. Yes, impressions with the right people. We talked about that.
Yeah.
A lot of leading indicators. Um,
But
but
I think the examples that you gave of that were really specific about, evidence that things are improving were really good. And I'll just, you're so right. When people can, it's almost like you're softening the beaches, if you will, but you're really kind of building the bridges, through the
yes.
leadership brand
No
content on
question.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. That I do think that there is. So I always talk about the larger market formula. Rob's heard me talk about this. The larger market formula talks about how at any given time, there's only roughly 3% of people that are in market ready to buy what you're selling today, meaning they're pain aware and they're solution seeking. 3% of people. The mass majority of outbound that you get, the garbage that hits your inbox, so your pitch slapping on LinkedIn is focused on that 3% of people. I don't think people do a really good job to focus on. There's another like 37% that are pain aware, but they're not quite solution seeking yet. And then there's another group that aren't quite pain aware yet. So that's 97% of people. Like, how do we stay in front of that group? Are we going to send them like drip emails or are we going to, whatever it is? It's creating content. Like,
Yeah.
your job should be to enter the conversation that's taking place in your buyer's head with the content that you create. So create this content because at some point, your buyer's hand is going to go in the air and say, I need to talk to somebody about this. I've been following this person on LinkedIn for the last 9 months, 12 months, whatever it is. Like, you're at the top of the list because I feel like I already trust you with all the content that you're putting out. So, larger market formula says that focus on that group because that's where the most revenue is going to be. It may take longer to get to that point where that 3% is focused on the people that are ready to pay now, but it's also like you're just like shouting into a well with that. Like, it's very hard to be the signal and the noise with the 3%, whereas you can be the signal and the noise with that 97% that's not ready to talk today.
And
Hmm.
I think it's important to think about, not being so salesy too. When you're creating content, when you're putting it out there, you're showing your subject
Yes.
matter expertise. And the call to action would be like, yeah, call me. But most of the time it's like, here's what I'm thinking about. Here's where, my head's been at, in my industry and things of that nature. That's why it's so important because the more you come off as the subject matter expert, the person that's sharing information, and the less it's like, hey, let's do a deal. the better luck you're going to have. I think everybody knows that that's ever done sales, but people don't like being sold to, and being out there and creating that content that may or may not have an action item attached to the end of it, I think is crucial.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that if you take a step away as a salesperson saying this, it's tough, but if you take a step back from the sales side of it and you position yourself as an invisible marketer, meaning all you're doing is just saying things that like you're hearing these conversations, all you're doing is regurgitating a lot of that stuff out, and that's marketing. Like that's what marketing is. It's putting messaging in front of the right people. Just be invisible with it. Don't sell. Like Rob, you said it perfectly. There's nothing that turns people off faster than feeling like they're being sold to. And when
Right.
they see content that feels like it's salesy, they immediately scroll by it, and you only get one or two shots at that.
That's it.
If they see you the second time, they're going to scroll right by you. But if they
Sure.
see you the first time and it's memorable and it speaks to them and it's not selling to them, they may stop the scroll the second time through, the second day
Yeah.
that they see you. So it is very important not to sell for sure.
Yeah.
Touche.
And one way to frame that is that most people go on LinkedIn to learn. They're there to get information. They're there to expand their industry knowledge, their skill set in some way. They're not there to buy something. So they're actually looking for people who are sharing information that can kind of, grow their professional minds, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
I got
that's,
as a build on top of that,
yeah.
like showcase your personality. I
Mhm.
have a post coming out next week where I talk about like polish is the enemy of this content. Like don't
Absolutely.
worry about polish in the content. Like be yourself, showcase your personality. Every once in a while I cuss with my content, but that's who I am. Every once in a while I'll say a joke. Like it's showcasing your personality. It's self-deprecating humor. I'll make fun of myself sometimes. Is that good for everybody? No, it's not for everybody, but that's just who I am. So showcase your personality. You don't need to be stiff and like buttoned up in the content that you create. It doesn't have to be perfect. People aren't looking for perfect. They're looking for those blemishes. So I'm going to talk about like how like if I'm in between two companies and I'm the buyer and all things look the same on with these two companies. One, you've got the same price, similar product, same price, similar product. I'm going to go to their LinkedIn profiles and check out their executives who I'm working with. And if I vibe better with one because that person would be fun to work with versus the other one that's just reposting a bunch of company, congratulations to my company for doing this, I'm
Right.
going to go with this one every single time. So
Yeah.
personality, showcase it if you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Good reminder. Totally agree.
Great
I think those
reminder.
are some awesome tips. I just want to say thanks,
Yeah.
Jared Gibson from Outworks. Thank you for joining us today. This has been really insightful,
So great to
and
have you on.
I mean, we shared some good
Yeah.
specifics too. I love the actionable things. So,
Yeah.
reminding
Thank you for having
everybody,
me. This is
share
fun.
information and strut your personality out there on LinkedIn, and you're going to have way
That's
better
perfect.
success. And if you can't do it
Longtime
alone,
viewer.
call Jared.
Yes. Yes. Hey,
Yeah.
however, for sure, I'm ready to
Yeah.
talk to anybody.
Yeah, we'll put all your contact information in our show notes too. So we'll make sure everybody can reach you, and we'll pop in that article that you mentioned as well.
Hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us. That's going to do it for another edition of Can You Hear Me? I'm Eileen Rochford. If you would like to comment on the podcast, suggest a topic, or read our newsletter, please contact us on our Can You Hear Me page on LinkedIn. And we also have an awesome new website, don't we, Rob?
We sure do. Brand new. It is can you hear me pod.beam, beam.ly. Of course, we'll leave that in the show notes as well. And if you like what you heard today, please consider giving Can You Hear Me a positive review wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever it is. It helps other listeners find our content. And thank you so much for listening.